Thank you for spending another midweek moment with the Wisconsin property taxpayers. I'm Paul Roseski. Today is Wednesday, the 8th of July, 2026. I hope you're well. Coming off a pretty cool weekend. Talked to a lot of people that caught fireworks. There was energy with the 4th, and there was energy with the men's soccer team. Unfortunately, they didn't deliver, but seems like the 4th of July did. This week, we're going to look at a couple of headlines out of Milwaukee. We've got something for the farmers, and I want to make sure I get to that "you can't make this stuff up" file. So without further ado, let's jump into some news together. This week, let's start with some positive news out of Milwaukee. The homicide rate in the first half of 2026 is down 30% compared to the same period last year. That's cool news. In 2024, it was 62. It jumped up to 70, but this year it's 49 homicides through the end of June. Non-fatal shootings were also down about 30%. So hopefully they can turn this into a long-term trend. In other news, we will transition from the city of Milwaukee to the county of Milwaukee, where Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley has announced that he is dropping his bid to be governor in 2026. He has suspended his campaign. It will be interesting to see how many more folks cry uncle before the primary. In other news, the Wisconsin Department of Justice has officially announced that there has been a settlement in a lawsuit against farm equipment manufacturer John Deere and Company. For the next 10 years, they must provide farmers and independent repair providers with the same resources and software for them to be able to fix their equipment instead of requiring it to go to a dealership. Interestingly enough, it was Wisconsin and 4 other states that were part of this FTC lawsuit. So I think the interesting thing is, if it's not politically motivated and 13 to 20 blue states suing the Trump administration, I guess lawsuits just aren't as sexy as they used to be. Kudos to Wisconsin for at least being a part of this one. In other news, let's stick with the theme of lawsuits and go down to Sturtevant, where a number of residents who live in the vicinity of Microsoft's newly completed data center are bringing a class action lawsuit because of what they call excessive noise from the data center. They are asking for compensation, attorney's fees, and relief from the noise. Now, I did see one news report that made me chuckle. There was one person in the lawsuit. They worked for the Mount Pleasant Police Department. I'm not sure if they still do, but they said in the lawsuit that he formerly worked third shift, but had to move shifts due to the noise and light from the facility impacting his sleep. What I didn't get is, if he's working third shift, then probably the light from the facility isn't the issue. It's probably the light from the sun as much as anything else. But if the noise is there, the noise is the noise, and he's part of the lawsuit. So we'll have to see how this one plays out. I'll just say that sometimes I have reasonable questions. In other news, I felt like this one deserved to come from the "you can't make this stuff up" file, because every once in a while, as you know, I like to give you some numbers from nationwide polls just to give you an idea of what people are thinking. Well, as many of us are familiar, the World Cup is being hosted here in North and Central America. So there's a poll that decided to ask an open-ended question and simply ask, what sport is played in the FIFA World Cup? Now, they asked these questions between June 15th and 16th, just as a point of reference. most people, I assume, would know that it's soccer. Well, in that open-ended question of 1,000 registered voters across the U.S., 74% could come up with soccer. That means 1 out of every 4 Americans couldn't come up with soccer. Now, either it tells me something crazy about this survey, that it is that drastically bad, or that we are doing a drastically good job of living up to the moniker of stupid Americans if 1 out of every 4 people in the United States don't know that soccer is played in the World Cup. And this is what makes it even better. They asked this on the 15th of June. Well, between the 12th and the 14th of June, there were World Cup matches being played in the United States. There were games in LA and San Francisco, so they're on the West Coast. New Jersey, Boston, and Philadelphia over on the East Coast. There were games in Houston and Dallas, so we've got Texas, and we have Kansas City. So you got one here in the Midwest. So they're pretty spread out. There was lead up to it also. It's tough for me to believe that either on the news or online, people had no idea that this was coming, no idea what was going on. You just can't make this stuff up. And finally, I'm going to give you another quote from one of the Federalist papers. As listeners to the podcast will know, I've been on a kick here because the Founding Fathers were smart in how they created the Constitution, but these Federalist papers also understood exactly what the pitfalls are of government. The more I read these things, the more it feels like they saw this coming a mile away when you look at the dysfunction that we have right now. That's why I like this one. It's from Federalist number 62 and James Madison, who said, and I quote, "It will be of little avail to the people that the laws are made by men of their own choice if the laws be so voluminous that they cannot be read or so incoherent that they cannot be understood," unquote. They nailed it. We have so many laws today that no one knows what they all are, and they are unreadable in legalese. We need a red tape reset, and WPT will keep carrying that torch when the politicians come back in January. Have a great second half of your weekend. As always, thanks for listening. Wisconsin Property Taxpayers Inc. is a nonpartisan membership organization consisting of thousands of small business, farm, and homeowner members in every heat wave loving corner of the state. Founded in 1985, the organization is committed to providing its members with up-to-date information, legislative advocacy, and exclusive cost-saving benefits. Find out how to join at WPTOnline.org/join.